getting into number 3 here, it looks like we're going to be dealing with exponents, but specifically these kind of fractional exponents, and then also maybe how to turn them into radical form, right? So we always just want to start, how it's written. I start with my a to my 2/3, and looking at all my answer choices, somehow this is going to get translated into some form of a radical, right? Another consistent thing I see is my base stays the same. So I have an a on the outside, I have an a on the inside. It's these numbers that are taking all sorts of formats in my answers, right? So the first thing we should address is, in some of them I have a 3 written, and then some of them there's just a blank space, right? So just like if I wrote down an x, there's that invisible 1 it's divided by, there's an invisible 1 coefficient, an invisible 1 exponent. So that invisible that's going to be in our radicals when there's nothing written there is just going to be a 2. So A and B are communicating to us that there's a 2 there, C and D are saying there's a 3 there, and they all have different exponents on the inside here, right? So the easiest way to stay consistent is try to think on our fraction up above here, which number wants to make our A bigger and which number wants to make our A smaller, right? And just try to think, well, the numerator, right? The 2 is usually, like if I just see like an x squared, usually I'm thinking that wants to make our x bigger, right? So all we do is we keep the numerator with our base, so the 2 stays with A, and then the denominator, the 1/3, that's actually like a square root or a third root. So that's trying to make our number smaller. So the denominator we just put on the outside of our radical, and that's it. So if you're ever translating these kind of fractional exponents to radical form, keep the numerator with our base, and then throw the denominator on the outside, and that should get us our right answer. I look through my answers, and it looks like that's going to match up with D, right? 3 on the outside, 2 on the inside. I have seen a version of this that's a little bit harder, where they change the factor. So instead of 2 and 3, I think they changed it to maybe like times both of them by 5. So maybe it would have been like a to the 10th, and then on the outside, the 15th. But it's going to be the same thing. All they did up above is multiply the fraction 2/3 by 5 each. So they really can't get much harder than that. So as long as you follow these rules, you should be good.